Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. So we gotta talk about the Philadelphia 76ers because shit is rolling downhill, and it's rolling downhill relatively fast. There's just been a whole lot to cover with the 76ers. Mostly because now that the Celtics trade happened and the Bucks trade happened, it would appear as if the process is over, or at least is on its way to being over. James Harden didn't show up to media day today. He supposedly, or I think it was yesterday, he didn't show up. He's expected to report to training camp today. But here's the thing, man. Joel Embiid is one of those guys that is pretty much a troll, like 99% of the time, 98% of the time. But he put out a tweet on Twitter that said, like, point blank, this offseason was fun, laughing my ass off. Like, their biggest move was signing Kelly Oubre, who, by the way, is not an amazing basketball player by any means. And the whole fucking debacle that went on with James Harden. And I can't help but think to myself, man, like, Joel Embiid is, like, at the top of the list, it would seem, of guys getting ready to pack their bags and get on a plane to go to another city to be on another team. Because, I look at the 76ers roster, and it's like, yeah, you know what? They could potentially have an ass ton of cap space next offseason, right? And it really depends on if Joel Embiid really wants to, like, stick it out. Like, I feel like this season's going to be a very, very important season for the 76ers that determines if whether or not Joel Embiid actually stays there or not. Because the fact of the matter is, James Harden, we don't really know what the deal is going to be with James Harden. Like, I feel like James Harden is going to back Daryl Morey into a corner where basically, like, he's already tanked his trade value, right, for the most part. Like, we all know that James Harden doesn't want to be there. For whatever reason, I guess he promised James Harden he would be traded to the fucking Clippers, and now James Harden's got his pantyhose in a bunch because he is not in a Los Angeles Clippers uniform. And I will say this. James Harden isn't making it better on himself. Like, the dude will never get a max contract ever again. Like, I think we can all agree on that, right? Like, James Harden is never going to get a max contract ever again in his life. Like, I don't think James Harden even fully understands just how much he's fucked himself by doing all this. Because, like, yeah, you made it so Daryl Morey, like, really can't get anything good for you now, but you've also made it so no team is ever going to offer you a max contract extension ever again. Like, even if he gets to the fucking Clippers, like, any GM with a brain in their head is not going to offer James Harden 4 years, $100 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too risky of a move to even offer him a contract like that. And to think to myself, I think James Harden is 33. Like, how old is James Harden? I don't think he's super old, right? Like, James Harden is 34 years old. So he's like, the most anyone's gonna extend him at this point is like 2 years with maybe a player option on it, if he's lucky. Like, I'm beginning to think like most of what James Harden's contracts are going to be at max 2-year deals. And James Harden wanted this big payday. He didn't get it. Then, I guess he got a promise that he was going to get traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. That didn't happen. And now he's on a fucking tirade. And it's funny because, like, really all he did was, like, burn the house down with him inside of it, essentially. Like, yeah, okay, I didn't get what I wanted, cool. Like, we're going to pour gasoline on the fire and light this bitch up. That's what we're going to do, and I don't care if I go down with it. Which seems like a really weird stance to take, considering I would think James Harden wants to continue playing basketball. It's obvious he doesn't care about playing for a winner. Like, that's relatively obvious at this point. But I also think about this from, like, Joel Embiid's standpoint. It's like, okay, like, is James Harden going to play? Is James Harden going to be a locker room issue? Is he going to quit on the Sixers like he did in Houston and in Brooklyn? Like, and I think that's going to happen. And I think that, I feel like quitting on the team could be the one thing that pushes Joel Embiid over the fucking edge. Like, we might actually see some sparring or some, rumors of locker room issues between Joel Embiid and James Harden if James Harden does play and is just giving up on plays. Or, it would almost be better, I think, for the 76ers to not have James Harden play and just let Tyrese Maxey be Tyrese Maxey and just see how that goes with Joel Embiid, because I truly believe Tyrese Maxey's ready to make that next step. Like, I truly believe Tyrese Maxey can lead this team. I think Tyrese Maxey is ready to do that. We know he can score, but the fact of the matter is, like, how can he be as a facilitator, right? I think Tyrese Maxey can do that. And, I think it's really the difference between you keeping Joel Embiid and not keeping Joel Embiid. Because if Joel Embiid gets really disgruntled, your team's not winning, you got some ignorant ass player on your team, and James Harden who only cares about himself. Like, Joel Embiid's going to look at the front office and look at this organization and be like, why am I subjecting myself to this, right? Like, we're not winning. Daryl Morey refuses to trade this, ass clown on our team and James Harden, and he can't even trade him for something good. So why stay here? Like, that's the one side of the coin, right? The flip side of the coin is Daryl Morey tells James Harden to just leave your ass home and we'll let Tyrese Maxey handle it. And, maybe the 76ers make the playoffs and have a decent year. Maybe Joel Embiid has another MVP level season and they make the playoffs as, a third or fourth seed, right? If that's even possible. At this point, Philly's looking almost like anywhere a 6 through 4 seed ever since the Bucks made their trade and the Celtics made their trade. But the fact of the matter is, even going forward, it's like you would have to win games, right? Make the playoffs, and then in the offseason, convince somebody to want to come to Philly that is not James Harden, right? And then I think you also have Tyrese Maxey's extension coming up this offseason. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but their upcoming offseason is going to be incredibly important. And the flip side of the coin is if they don't make the playoffs, or if by the All-Star break things are just a fucking disaster, Joel Embiid's going to request a trade. Like, I feel like we're getting into that. Like, I kind of feel like the process is over. And the fact of the matter is, like, the 76ers could get a shit ton of draft capital for Joel Embiid. Granted, they don't have the greatest history at drafting players, but it appears as if they've gotten better at it with drafting Tyrese Maxey. And even though Ben Simmons was a liability when it comes to shooting, they made the right pick in picking Ben Simmons at the time when they picked him, because he did become a good player for them. But it's just the idea, finding another Joel Embiid is, very, very hard to do. And I just think to myself, like, the 76ers situation is very fragile, and I have a feeling it's going to be very volatile as well. This is going to be the one team that I feel like locker room issues start to creep in, depending on what happens with James Harden. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it's like, if I'm Daryl Morey, do I even risk bringing James Harden into training camp? Like, do I even risk playing James Harden? Do I risk even having him around the fucking team? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a real question Daryl Morey has to ask himself. And we're at a point now where we're going to find out just how good of a GM Daryl Morey actually is. Because, I don't know if it was a thing with Doc Rivers that maybe James Harden didn't like, but now you have a new head coach that you don't got to worry about that shit with. So I don't know, man. To me, if you want my honest opinion, it feels like the process is over. You know what I'm saying? That's what it feels like. But there's a very small chance that this is salvageable, but I feel like it's only salvageable if Tyrese Maxey plays point, Tyrese Maxey is running the team, and, it's the Joel Embiid Tyrese Maxey show, all right? You can't have, Tobias Harris is still a solid player. Like, you just keep James Harden as far away from Joel Embiid as fucking possible, okay? Like make it so that James Harden can't even look at Joel Embiid, okay? Like, put a wall up, okay? Like, fucking Donald Trump, build a fucking wall, okay? Like, just make it so James Harden is not fucking things up there. Because James Harden, if he hates Daryl Morey enough, what he'll do is say, yeah, I'm going to tank my trade value so you can't trade for me. Yeah, fuck it, I don't get a max contract either, but I'm going to make the situation so bad that your star player is not even going to want to play for you. All right, like, because honestly, we don't know how bad the situation is, but it seems pretty fucking bad. All right, yeah, James Harden's reporting to training camp. Whoop-de-doo, Basil, just so he doesn't get fucking fined. Okay, like, it's just the idea. I don't know how this is gonna go, but all roads seem to lead to Joel Embiid getting out of there unless things go miraculously well this season, and I just don't think that's going to happen. Not only that, but if you're Philadelphia, right, the Bucks got better, the Celtics got better, you're not beating them. Like, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, great trio, it's solid, it's enough to get you into the playoffs. Is it beating what the Celtics and the Bucks just put together? Absolutely not. It's not. So, that's the other side of the coin here too, is like this, if you want to talk a third side of the coin, is like, what can the 76ers do to land another big fish to really put them back into the championship conversation, as if they were ever really in it. But, you got Miami, Miami's still there, you got Cleveland, who I'm a little shocked they actually got knocked out by the Knicks last year, but it is what it is. You've got the Celtics, you've got the Bucks. Like, you need to load the fuck up, and not for nothing, but I don't know how many guys are really out there, like, running down to go to Philly. And Daryl Morey understands that, because they've been linked to everybody in the past, like, this entire offseason. They've been linked to Drew Holiday. They've been linked to Damian Lillard. Okay, like, they were trying to get in on the Dame trade. Like, they need to put someone else next to Joel Embiid, and they're running out of options. Okay, like, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anybody else that they can maybe put next, like Bradley Beal. They struck out on Bradley Beal. Like, I just think to myself, like, who can they get? Donovan Mitchell from the Cavaliers? Like, what are you even going to offer the Cavaliers that would get them to give you Donovan Mitchell? Okay, you can't offer Tyrese Maxey because they already fucking have Darius Garland. You can't offer Tobias Harris because, well, why the fuck would they take Tobias Harris for Donovan Mitchell? Like, it's just the idea, like, they are running out of options, and it's at a point now where I'm starting to think, yeah, maybe you just trade Joel Embiid and hit the reset button and try to draft some more guys to build your roster again, because the process is running out of time. And not for nothing, man, but Joel Embiid is not getting any younger. Joel Embiid is still a really, really good player, like, and you might as well strike while the iron's hot if you're going to do it. Joel Embiid is 29, okay? So if he's going to win a championship, it has to be within the next 6 years here. And I just don't think that's a big enough window for the 76ers to put something decent around Joel Embiid. I just don't. And the reason I don't is because they don't draft well. They don't manage their contracts well. Like, their front office does not do a lot of things very well. And yeah, they struck gold on Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, but even that, it's like, okay, you got Ben Simmons, that didn't work. You traded Ben Simmons for James Harden, now James Harden didn't work. And, like, not for nothing, but most of the teams with young point guards are not trading them. You know what I'm saying? Like, the guys that could truly make a huge difference, they're not trading them. The Pacers aren't trading Tyrese Halliburton. The Knicks aren't trading Jalen Brunson. Okay? The Dallas Mavericks just re-signed Kyrie Irving. Like, Kyrie Irving might be an option. Kyrie Irving, Joel Embiid is something to think about, but the Mavericks just extended Kyrie. So unless Kyrie does something like, conduct detrimental to the team, you're not getting Kyrie Irving. And that's what they need. They need, like, an all-star level guard or an all-star level forward to put next to Joel Embiid, and there's not a lot out there. Okay, yeah, you could go after DeMar DeRozan, but, and DeMar DeRozan would be a solid pickup, but how much of an improvement is he really over Tobias Harris? So when you look at it from all angles, it's like, yeah, you know what? The 76ers are in a very, very tough spot, and I kind of think that, like, the era of the process of Joel Embiid is coming to an end, and it's going to come to an end sooner than people think. Because Joel Embiid wants to win, and it's sounding more and more every day like he realizes he needs to get the fuck out of Philly. So, tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.